Good morning, downtown SLO. Welcome to our Monday morning COVID-19 response and recovery call. Today is Monday, November 9th, and it's a chilly day out there, so I hope you're all bundled up. I was excited to wear a coat for the first time in a few months, so cheers to that, and welcome to another week in downtown San Luis Obispo. We have a really packed agenda for our call today, and we have some really interesting updates and some special guests to share some information with you. So we have our Downtown SLO Board of Directors closed meeting tomorrow morning at 7:30. So for all of you on the board, I look forward to seeing you bright and early. I did email out the packet to you last week, and we'll look forward to having that conversation with all of you. And I'd like to thank everybody on the board for stepping up and doing such a great job selling our raffle tickets to our fantastic raffle, which has raised almost just over $9,300 so far this year. So we have a wonderful raffle. We are just in awe and so grateful to all of the downtown businesses who've donated prizes to this raffle. Our fundraising goal is $15,000, and so far we've raised $9,340, and you all have donated more than $10,000 in prizes. So thank you so much for that. There are still tickets for sale. We will have 3 more drawings. We have our first drawing on Saturday. The tickets are $20 per ticket, or you can get 6 for $100 or 15 for $250. And the phone number to call is there on your screen, and you can get in touch with Cassidy to get your tickets. The next drawing, excuse me, will take place this Saturday, and we have some fantastic prizes, as you can see here. We have shopping sprees, we have jewelry, we have cosmetics, we have blow dry and style, we have a one-night stay at the Avila Village Inn, plus a round of golf. So thank you to our board president, Pat Arnold, for donating that. That would be a great little staycation if you've been staying inside and you're ready to maybe go see somewhere other than the 4 walls that you're surrounded by. And then we just also have some other wonderful packages here as well. So that drawing will take place on Saturday, and we look forward to sharing the results with you on our Instagram stories. Again, you can get tickets by calling 805-234-9678. And you can also pick up tickets in person at the following retail stores: Humankind, Hands Gallery, SLO Yoga Center, Blackwater, and Junk Girls. And the funds that we raise for this will support our ambassador program, our volunteer programs, and some of the holiday activations, which I'll be telling you about a little bit more later on in the meeting. So with that, Rachel, our Chief Operating Officer, talks with us every Monday about what the reality is with COVID-19. Rachel?
Thank you, Bettina. As of Friday, 4,568 cases of COVID-19 have been reported in SLO County, and the city accounts for 946 of those cases. Also, we did see a recent spike in cases with 146 new cases on Thursday and Friday alone. As I mentioned at the start, we get the last update as of Friday. So we'll see what the weekend looks like a little bit later on today, but hoping that that trend did not continue throughout the weekend. Unfortunately, an additional life was lost this past week, with a total number of deaths due to COVID-19 at 33 in our county, and our condolences are with their loved ones and friends during this time, especially as we're entering the holiday season. Surges are happening across the country, so we're really just keeping an eye now that kind of a spike has hit our county, something that we're definitely monitoring. And I know Cal Poly and the city, as well as the county, are working on targeted messaging toward where those spikes are coming from. Right now, I believe in the 18 to 29 category, but I believe we'll hear a little bit more later on from Lee and Courtney on what that targeting looks like. Testing is available, and I know we continue to say that this is really our saving grace when it comes to keeping our rates, once they're adjusted, at a good level. We're hoping that if anyone needs to be tested, you can visit readyslo.org and learn where you can get tested. On the next slide, the county remains in Tier 2, the red or substantial tier, and this is updated every Tuesday. So this is as of last Tuesday. So tomorrow we'll get an update based on the state's blueprint for a safer economy And Lee may be able to touch a little bit more. He's our expert on the lag time of where the county numbers are versus when the state captures their numbers. But with that, Bettina, I will let you share a little bit more exciting news on what the arts have coming up with some additional guidelines coming in.
Great. Well, thank you, Rachel. And I know it continues to be complicated and troubling. So we are here for you, and that's why we continue to do these weekly meetings. We hope it's helpful to put it all consolidated into one place. At our meeting last week, we discussed the advocacy efforts of a newly formed group called the Central Coast Coalition of Arts Leaders. And this group came together and pointed out that performing arts were really missing from any of the state guidelines. There were guidelines for restaurants, for shopping, for personal care services, movie theaters, family centers, but the performing arts were not included in the state blueprint for a safer economy. So this group got together and they did advocate to Dr. Borenstein at the county. And this group got some really good news over the weekend that the following activities are now allowed in SLO County. So they can record performances, and that will of course not have an audience there. And there also will be some drive-in concerts or performances allowed. You may have been reading in the news about some planned drive-in performances that unfortunately got canceled. And this is good. Obviously, we don't have a facility large enough to do a drive-in concert in downtown necessarily, but we certainly want the performing arts to succeed when we go back into a place where we are able to welcome performances back to our downtown. There will now be an audience allowed inside a theater under the guidelines, the same or for a movie theater, to view a film or a recorded concert. And then there is the opportunity to do a live stream from an empty concert hall to another concert hall. So it's good news. It's important to downtown because we know that we have many cultural centers down here. And also when arts performances are happening, people come to our stores, they shop in our stores, they dine in our restaurants, they park in our parking structures. And the arts are vital to a really robust, holistic economy. Interestingly, I'd like to just note that currently live music is still not permitted, not even one musician at a restaurant. So I've seen some things happening out there where people are inviting live performances, and unfortunately that is not allowed at this time. With that, we're going to invite Courtney Keno from our board of directors and from Cal Poly to give us an update on what's happening at the university this week. Good morning, Courtney.
Good morning, Bettina, and everyone on the call this morning. Thanks for having me. We have 2 weeks left until students return home, but as Rachel referred to earlier, our testing efforts in recent days have identified a significant jump in the number of positive cases within our student community, and that includes both on-campus students and off-campus. Through our accelerated testing, surveillance, and contact tracing, we've been able to identify that the recent increase in infections has stemmed from certain segments of our student population engaging in unsafe behaviors and disregarding health and safety guidelines. In particular, there are several campus sorority chapters that held obviously unapproved, off-campus events that violated local and state health and safety guidelines. And then we had some students in one of our residence halls, Poly Canyon Village, that did the same, held some social gatherings. President Armstrong sent a note to campus as a stark reminder to students that choosing these kinds of behaviors can result in the endangerment of lives and have significant consequences. Those include potentially being charged with a misdemeanor and going through the student conduct process on campus, which, as I've shared with you all many times, can result in suspension or expulsion. And we also have a social media campaign that's now been launched. Beyond messaging, we're taking a number of actions, including ramping up our testing efforts with extra focus on the student populations known to have engaged in these higher risk activities. We are in really close contact with public health officials and our own campus health and safety experts to really aggressively address these increases through the increase in testing that I just mentioned, our isolation and quarantine efforts, and then contact investigations and the student conduct investigations. And I'm really looking forward to hearing from Lee. We are really grateful for the city of SLO and jumping in to help in a big way as well with their own targeted messaging and increase in proactive patrols. We are still very much under the safety enhancement zone. So that means double fines for a lot of noise violations and party related activity. As for the numbers, we also don't update over the weekend, but as of Friday at 4:30, Cal Poly has had 409 total positive cases. Currently isolated on campus are 66 students, quarantined are 33, and then quarantined in place, which is that lower tier of being quarantined, is 563. On Friday, President Armstrong sent another message to campus detailing how to travel home, since that's happening so soon. In-person classes wrap up on November 20th, and residence halls lock their doors on the 21st. Students are expected to stay at their permanent residences until winter quarter, which starts January 4th. And the main message of that note was to really ask students to limit interactions and activity as much as possible, and really to protect their friends, family, loved ones that they'll be traveling home to. We are really aware of the impacts to the broader community should our case count continue to go up. I think we're all trying to weigh all the factors right now to evaluate each next step, and at the consultation of many to make the best decisions as the situation evolves. So that's all I have for this morning. Thanks.
Thank you, Courtney. I, as usual, have a couple of questions for you. Very thorough report. I'm curious about, with the high numbers of people who are in isolation right now, will they be staying on campus or will they be sent home?
So public health is managing that piece of it, and isolated students cannot travel. So their public health guidance for us has been to ask all isolated and quarantined students to not travel until their isolation or quarantine period is completed. We know that some quarantine, we can't force them to stay. So if students in those categories decide they are going to travel, then they have to go through a process and are asked to travel alone in their vehicle, do not get picked up by parents. And there's this whole protocol for how to do that. But really the main message there is to not travel.
Okay.
And absolutely cannot get on a plane, a bus, any kind of public transportation is an absolute. In any of those categories, you cannot do that.
Great. And I noticed that you mentioned that you don't release numbers over the weekend. I know the county does the same. Is there any conversation about maybe trying to do that over the next weekend as we go toward campus closing and this spike is continuing?
I have not heard anyone mention that, no.
Okay.
It's possible, but I might not have heard about it.
Great. Well, thank you for your update. We appreciate it. And maybe you can put up the Cal Poly dashboard in the chat just in case people want to get some more information about what that looks like.
I will do that now, and I'll post any campus notices are posted on our website. So if anyone would like to read the president's two notes that he sent to campus this past week, I'll post that link so anybody can read all the details of those.
Great. Thank you very much, Courtney.
Thank you.
All right, up next, we have Lee Johnson with the City of San Luis Obispo. How are you doing this morning, Lee?
Doing well, Bettina. How about you?
Very well, thanks.
Excellent. All right, so I'll start off with the good news. I don't know if everyone saw it, but the city has up there, we got some new equipment for our pressure washing and stuff. So we've upped our pressure washing. We're doing downtown Monday through Friday, 5 days a week, doing pressure washing. So that helps a lot of things, and we're trying to do as much as we can on cleanliness downtown, etc.
I just want to
Also,
say thank you for that. We love the sidewalk Zamboni, as I like to call it.
yeah, thank the public works team. I just get to talk about it. They're the ones who have to do it all. So, also all of like our data, our business activity data, those kind of things are trending in the right direction. Like the downtown visitor information came in, and for September we were again over the year prior. Hotel occupancy is getting closer and closer to its normal trend. The parking situation, we're getting more and more vehicles in the parking structures. So that data piece is heading the right way. Our COVID data last week was very good and gave us hope that we might head toward the orange. But now we head into the bad news phase, and our most recent COVID information on cases from the last week or so has not been good. I mean, we can get 140-ish cases a week and stay where we are. But we've been over that, so we'll see what that looks like when it starts to hit our actual state data. We've managed spikes before through a combination of timing, them falling in different weeks, and how the state keeps track of it versus how we keep track of it and some other things. So we have to see what happens. Just so everyone knows, so like the data that we'll get on the 10th, tomorrow, comes through basically the end of October. So that's pretty old data from our perspective. What we're seeing in the paper and everything is different, or it's a pretty big lag. So we'll see what tomorrow's data looks like. It has a chance to be decent, and that's good, because if we stay in the red tier with tomorrow's data, we have to have 2 bad weeks to move back. And so then the data on the 17th will be the data that reflects what's happened last week. So kind of the big numbers we had towards the end of the last week will come out next Tuesday. And then the following week will be what's happened this week. So we have time to do something. We have a chance to do things. And as Courtney mentioned, we have the stepped up enforcement. We're doing way more patrolling. Safety enhancement zone, we are doing more communication to try and get everyone to understand that we have to bring these numbers down. If they continue on this trend, we will definitely have a problem. And for us, all of us, that means wear the face mask, social distance, wash your hands, stay home if you're sick, get tested. For businesses, follow the guidelines, please. Have people wear their mask, have your employees wear masks, have your restaurants socially distanced, all that kind of stuff. Because while right now some cases maybe in Cal Poly or in North County or wherever, every case counts, and nothing can control where the next set of cases are, and it can happen anywhere there's a group. So while people could point fingers whatever they want to do, that's not helpful. What's helpful is doing what we need to do to get the case numbers down, so that we can stay in the red and someday move to the orange. But we'll just have to see where the data takes us, and continue all to do our parts to try and get those numbers down.
Thank you, Lee. We touched on this a little bit with Courtney's remarks, but I know and Rachel mentioned this as well, that the testing that we're doing is adjusting our numbers. Mm-hmm. What steps are the city and or Cal Poly taking to make sure that the testing continues at the same rate when the students leave?
So Cal Poly, I'll let Courtney speak for that if we need to, but between the county and all of the cities working to ramp up testing as Cal Poly's probably will lessen because they won't have students on campus, less control of the testing, all that kind of stuff. So is my understanding is that everybody's working together to find ways to test more, to find ways to make sure if students stay in the community and don't go home for the holidays or something, we're able to have them tested and manage that and all those things. So I think from the beginning, Cal Poly, the county, and all the cities have been working really hard together to manage this. And for the most part, it's not a county, city, Cal Poly management issue so much as it's an individual choice issue that we keep getting into trouble on. Even the small family gatherings, while there's a big chunk of this week or, some of the spike can be traced to certain places, the baseline cases that we get day after day after day, a lot of those are still coming from the smaller family gatherings that happen and things happening, that shouldn't be happening according to the guidelines.
Great, very helpful. And I know Thanksgiving is coming up. That's going to be a concern for a lot of people. My boyfriend and I usually host Thanksgiving at our house. And this year I asked him, I said, we're not hosting Thanksgiving this year, right? And he said, that's correct, Bettina. We're also not going to put the toaster in the bathtub. And I think that's a good way of thinking about it, right? We love our family, we want to be together, but this is not the time to be doing that.
And it's clear across the country that those small group gatherings are driving what's happening. Like if you look at a map of the coronavirus cases and how red we are as a country, as far as hotspots and all that kind of stuff, it's the small family gatherings, and the Thanksgiving will be a challenging time. But I think if you can make the choice is probably good to find another way to do it than be together.
That's right. So I know for us, we're planning to order some takeout from a downtown restaurant, and we'll be putting together a list of some of the downtown restaurants that'll be providing Thanksgiving feasts. So maybe if you're not used to doing the cooking that day and you don't want to do the dishes, you can support a local business instead. Well, thank you, Lee. Appreciate that very much. If anybody has any questions, you can drop them in the chat at any time. But I'm very excited to make an announcement to all of you and welcome our next guest speaker. We, as all of you have been observing, there is a crisis of homelessness in the state of California, and San Luis Obispo is not immune to that. We have observed an uptick since the shutdown, and as we've been moving into the reopening and the recovery in activity and people experiencing homelessness in our downtown. We understand that this affects our community and it affects all of your businesses. And as you will remember, we moved into, we hired some new ambassadors for our program to keep downtown clean and safe. But unfortunately, we lost our wonderful ambassador, Austin Bertucci, who went and got a wonderful job with the city. But he had relationships with a lot of the people who live downtown and you recognize on the sidewalks and streets. And so instead of trying to redevelop and recreate a plan where we had an internal focus on homeless outreach, we decided to look at a partner organization in the community, and we looked to SLO to partner with SLO and bring in a new outreach worker who will be deployed specifically in the downtown for 20 hours a week, connecting with the people who are experiencing homelessness on our sidewalks and streets, and hopefully connecting them to the services they need, ultimately with the goal of some family reunification and getting them into the treatment that they may need if they're experiencing issues with addiction or drug and alcohol abuse or other trauma-related ideas. So I've invited Grace McIntosh from SLO to tell us a little bit about what SLO does to assist with the people who are homeless in our community. And Grace, thank you so much. We look forward to working with you in this new partnership.
Thanks, Bettina. Good morning, everyone. So my name is Grace McIntosh. I'm the Deputy Director at SLO, but I'm also been for the last 2 years since 40 Prado opened. I've been based actually out of 40 Prado. We've been amazingly, wonderfully lucky so far, but I think it's more than luck in terms of the fact that we've only had 4 cases at 40 Prado. of the coronavirus. Really, we have made extraordinary efforts to ensure that our population are following all of the guidelines. Interestingly, what we are finding is this population is not a very quote unquote social population. They tend to stay within their own groups, whether it be at Forty Prado, whether it be in an encampment, whether it be in a parking situation. And so we think that that's one of the factors why it has not been as much of an issue for us. But we stay very vigilant. In March, when this first hit, we made a decision that we were going to reduce our numbers so that we could socially distance as much as possible. We also made the decision we were no longer going to be accepting out-of-county individuals. That was fraught with a lot of discussion, because I think what ended up being perceived in the community, and we don't know if this in fact is a fact, that that contributed to an increase in the folks that you see. I know that in our outreach efforts that we've been doing, we've been very involved in the most recent encampment clearing at the Bob Jones Trail, as well as the Los Osos area. But the folks that we're seeing there are a very small percentage are actually out of county. Most of these individuals are individuals that are well known to us, to the community, to the CAT team, to local law enforcement, and for a variety of reasons are resistant to coming into services. And so when Bettina called me and said, hey, what do you think about us forging a partnership to try and have more of a presence in the downtown and work more with the folks. I think it's a natural partnership, because we probably already know most of those folks anyway. And the issue that I think some of you who may have participated a while back when John Clevens came to a chamber event, and he talked about the number of contacts that really need to be made before you see any real effort or change. And it's quite a bit. I mean, it's 20, 30, 40 contacts. There needs to be that consistent presence. And most importantly, and I think this is why Austin was so great, is he had a relationship with folks. He spent the time necessary to develop relationship with good, clear boundaries, but nevertheless relationship. And so that's really what we do. Our outreach folks develop those relationships, and if necessary, go with folks to various appointments. I mean, the biggest thing that a lot of our folks will say is that they have a real challenge of accessing services, specifically mental health, specifically substance use. And those are the two services that I would say are in the most desperate need for some of the folks that we're seeing. In addition, I think we want to be a support to the Downtown Business Association members. So an opportunity to be a presence there, to answer any questions you might have, to come by if there's someone that you need us to talk to, that's maybe in front of your business, or someone that you want us to work with. And we're more than happy to do that. So it's not just relationship with the homeless individuals who may be frequenting your locations, but it's also developing relationships with you as the business owners, so that we can try to address the concerns you have. I am not going to sugarcoat it. This is not an easy population. I'm sure you're all very well aware of that. There are folks that may or may not be amenable to the services that we want to provide. And that's why we do work closely with local law enforcement, with the CAT team, especially to say what are the best options for these individuals. But we do have to work within the confines of the law. But additionally for us, it's really the development of that relationship. So I don't know, Bettina, was there anything you specifically wanted me to address?
No, I think that's a really wonderful kind of overview of the types of services that you provide. And we're really looking forward to having somebody who lives in and occupies this world all the time. I joined the HSOC, which is the Homeless Services Oversight Council for SLO County, I guess about a year and a half ago. And I've learned so much about this world, but it's extremely complicated. And just learning the jargon and the acronyms alone can be really overwhelming. And so we're looking forward to having you who can kind of decode that information and provide it to some of our business owners and also to the people who need to have those multiple contacts over and over and over again.
Yeah, and some of the services that we have been able to put on site at Forty Prado, I think will really help. For example, we do have a full-time county behavioral health therapist that is on site at Forty Prado. So our outreach worker could accompany the individual in the downtown area to those. And she actually has all the privileges, 5150, medication management. I mean, so she can do all of those things. We have CHC on site. So again, if medical issue, if it's challenging for someone to access medical services, we can bring them to Forty Prado. They can see the CHC physician there on site. So besides the basic issues like food and shower and laundry and all of that, this population really, really needs access to the type of services that are going to get them stabilized. If they don't have access to those services, you're dead in the water from the beginning. So our focus is going to really be to let these people know what they can access, help them come in and access. Doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to have to commit to staying at Forty Prado, because that's a commitment that takes some time, but at least they'll get a foot in the door and know that they can get some of the services that maybe they're not able to access because it's just so challenging.
Big picture, can you just share a little bit about what the actual numbers are in SLO County and how many shelter beds are available? Because I know when I started working in this field, I was shocked by the reality.
Well, we are supposed to do a point in time count in January. So a point in time is the national day of when everyone goes out and counts people that we look to be homeless, and that's a very nebulous thing right then and there. But so the most recent point in time count is now 2 years old, and San Luis Obispo County did see an increase in unsheltered individuals. I would anticipate those numbers are much higher in reality. I think we had 2 years ago, I think if you had asked me, I think our numbers were 1,500 according to the point in time. I think the reality is we had more than probably 2,200 individuals. Now, I think we're going to see a big increase. I think especially once the moratorium ends, I think we're going to see a lot of people that are going to be at risk of homelessness because more of the economic side of the situation with job loss or with loss due to medical issues. So let's just say we go with that 2,100. We have the 100 beds at Prado. We had 50 up at Echo, and then we have probably another between Rise and Stand Strong, but they're very, very specific to individuals fleeing domestic violence, probably another 50 or 70. So you're talking about 300 shelter beds for 2,100 homeless folks. So we are one of the worst in terms of across the country communities in terms of our percentage of unsheltered versus availability of shelter beds. And then when you, of course, add on to that the affordable housing challenges that we have in our community, you can see why housing is very, very difficult. And again, the discussions we have with our folks are educating them on where their dollars, if they're on limited fixed income, for example, if they're on Social Security or disability, we're real clear with them about, hey, your dollar will go a lot further if there isn't any reason for you to be in this county. You need to think about going. I mean, these are the kinds of honest discussions that we're having, because if someone's on an income of only $865 a month, where are they going to ever find a place to live here that's affordable without a voucher? Subsidized housing, and those wait lists are years. So these are the kinds of discussions that we're having to have with people, because this is the reality of our situation. But you don't have those discussions without first developing the relationship.
That's right. That's right. And I know for many of us, we have become daily viewers of Governor Newsom's press conferences. And some of you may have heard about Project Roomkey and some additional resources that have been deployed throughout the state. Is our county using any of those resources at this time? Or are there
Our
plans to?
county did not choose to participate in Project Roomkey. However, our county did choose, well, our county in collaboration with the Housing Authority and People's Self-Help and ECHO did choose to apply for, and they have in fact received, a Project Home Key grant, which is, I'm sure many of you have heard about this, $15 million to completely renovate a motel up in the Paso Robles area, which will be a combination of 63 permanent housing units, single room occupancy we call them, as well as up to 50 shelter beds, all within that one hotel. It is a very, very ambitious project, and we are assisting the Housing Authority with consultation on that because it is going to be very, very challenging. The funds must be, escrow must close by the end of next month, and about, I think, half the services must be up and running within a 6-month period. So it is very, very ambitious. Again, that's not going to necessarily help SLO City, other than potentially the permanent housing. And so we're really looking at that. I mean, that's a huge increase. 63 permanent housing slots is a huge, huge help. So we're really looking forward to seeing that get online. It's a ways down the road, but it is a step in the right direction for our county anyway.
Yeah, really helpful to think about. And, you know, the housing issue is obviously something that we all are aware of. Interestingly, in the downtown, there is more affordable housing per capita than there is anywhere else in the county. And we were doing some measurement of the average rent in San Luis Obispo for a program that we were planning to ramp out and announce in April. That obviously didn't happen. But in that, we were showing that there was all of this low-income housing, but with the Weinman and the Anderson, we do have some of those. And we know that those are assets that people take advantage of and that are really helpful. So we're just really excited about this new partnership. And the timeline, we're going to be announcing this to the public later today, but we wanted to let you all know that this is happening before anybody else. And this partnership was made possible because the city of San Luis Obispo has given us a grant to help us with these providing these services. As part of that grant, there is a matching component. So we will be looking to raise about $28,000 from corporations and other businesses to help support this program and potentially grow it in the years to come. We know that this type of outreach is successful in other communities. Partnerships are really going to be the way forward, and probably have always been the way. But we'll look forward to having updates from our specific outreach worker. And Grace, hopefully you can come and join us again too, because it's so helpful to hear you and your perspective and have your years of experience. If anybody has any questions for Grace, we'd love to open up the floor, and you can put questions in the chat or just open up your microphone. Okay, well, thank you so much. We appreciate you being here, and you're welcome to join us for the rest of the meeting. Stick around.
Thank you. Take care, everyone.
Grace. All right, up next, our next guest is Jim D'Antona with the SLO Chamber. How are you doing today, Jim?
Doing great, Bettina. Thanks for having us. So thrilled. Love all the work that CAPSLO is doing, and yeah, this will be a great partnership, certainly, to help move these things along. So glad to hear it. Congratulations. It's really wonderful. Just kind of giving up update on our side, starting off with we are launching our impact survey. We were doing business surveys monthly, and we ended up now we're doing them every other month now, but we're sending one out to our membership today, and we'll put a link here if you're not a member, and we'd still love to hear from you, because this really is kind of important information. We've added a couple new questions in there as we look at the passage of Measure G. One of the questions is, what is the best way the city could assist you? Because we know business support is a key part of what we wanted to get out of Measure G, and the city is committed to it. So we want to kind of get some of that information, but also find out where you are at. How are you feeling? And kind of like the survey the polls that we see here want to kind of, take that temperature. So if you get a chance, go ahead and take that, or if you see it in your email, please do that. It's important information. Secondly, we are going to be doing, we had a working lunch a little while ago with Scott Yu from Festival Mosaic. Well, it was such a fun conversation. It was so interesting. We're actually going to do a much bigger version of it with him and his spouse, Alice Dade. So to talk a little bit more about Festival Mosaic, a little bit more about what's going on with them, and talking about the art in general. And so we're hosting an Insight Studio. Be moderated by Sandy Sigurdsson. Just to kind of, should be a fun, interesting, and really dive in and have a Q&A from the audience too, with Scott and Alice, and talk a little bit about it. Scott's such an interesting guy. I know I don't have to tell Bettina that, but it's, I was blown away just in the 30 minutes I got to spend with him. I felt like I could have gone on for 2 hours with him. So inviting folks to come and join that conversation. We're doing that on November 19th. That's a Thursday from 4:30 to 6. So we look forward if hopefully you'll be able to join us on that. And then we have our update. We've updated our voter guide. Obviously, everybody's had probably enough of updates on elections, but we still have votes being counted. And so we've updated our voter guide to show where our support or our proposals, our recommendations have gone, and what those measures have done. And while just kind of give folks an update at a local level, I know we hear a lot about how many votes are left to count in Arizona, Nevada, Pennsylvania. Just kind of, if you haven't had a chance to check, countywide, there are still 33,400 ballots to be counted at the county level. Specifically about 5,000 left at the city level to be counted. There will be an update later today at 3 p.m. of some of that count. And so it'll probably be over the next 7 to 10 days that they'll finalize all of the ballots counted out of SLO counties. So certainly for the city, it looks like most of the things are in place, though the council race is quite close. For the second seat right now being Jan Marks is in the lead of. So we're watching all of those things. But if you go over to our website, you can get an update on where those things stand. And, specifically looking at the entire state of California, there are still 3.5 million ballots to count approximately. And propositions like 14, 19, and 22, which could have significant impacts, are close enough that, 3.5 million votes being counted could swing them one way or the other. So, kind of taking that election look locally, certainly you can come over to our website to see it, and we're always happy to kind of help you understand. If there's any questions about it, you can reach out to us. So glad to be here and looking forward. And one other quick note, this is kind of off the cuff here, we're just to let you know we're working, and we know Downtown SLO has been a part of it. In front of our offices, you've seen some work in the street and done some new bike lanes, and we are on the verge of having a pretty cool new bike corral built right in front there of our area, where folks could park their bikes, lock up, and get set. So there's something new coming right out in front of the SLO Chamber site, and we weren't going to be moving our business outside, but found a fun way to work with the city, Downtown SLO, SLO Bike Coalition, to come up with a really fun activation out in front of ours, and that'll be coming hopefully before Thanksgiving.
That's great. Thanks so much, Jim. Lots of fun stuff happening over there. And I will give a plug to that Insight Studio with Scott Yu and Alice Dade. I was the executive director of Festival Mosaic for 8 years. So he's definitely a genius, certifiable, a violinist, conductor, and his backup plan was to go get a degree in physics from Harvard. So if you want to just be in the presence of a really amazing mind, that's a fun way to spend some time. Really interesting to hear about the update on the vote count. Thank you for those numbers, Jim. I'm curious, I saw something somewhere that said that maybe December 12th is the day that California ballots are final. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's the state has up, or each county has until then to finalize their totals. Most of that will be just double checking back on provisional ballots. Those are always the hardest because you have to double check back. You got to count all the regular ballots before you see if the provisionals take effect, and then back check where else they could have potentially voted. So that's the one that takes the most and is usually the smallest part, but it also takes the longest. But they have, yes, until December 12th to finalize all the count.
Okay, but that doesn't mean we have to wait a month.
Yeah,
Okay.
we'll know probably in the next 7 to 10 days where at least locally all of our elections are, and within the next 7 to 10 days, even statewide, all of those votes, it'll be pretty clear unless something's separated by hundreds or thousands of votes statewide that you can call the yes on it.
Great. Well, thanks so much. Hope you have a great week, and probably we'll see you later today, I'm guessing.
Yep. Good to see you.
All right. Well, thanks so much. We're at 10:46, and I do have a few more things that I'd like to share with you all today. We have been working tirelessly on creating some wonderful holiday happenings for the downtown. So just a reminder for folks, unfortunately, the holiday parade has been canceled because obviously it's canceled. But we are investing in some more activations and activities throughout the downtown so that people can come downtown, they can shop safely, they can eat in restaurants, and enjoy a lit up downtown. So our focus this year and our theme for the holidays is Light Up Downtown. We are partnering with the city of SLO and with Carson Butler Events, a downtown business, to create some really fun and exciting activations in Mission Plaza. You will be able to make some real holiday memories and stroll downtown socially distanced anytime. We will have Santa's house on display, and children will be able to drop off letters to Santa, and we will have a volunteer team of elves who will be writing back to Santa. We are partnering with the SLO Children's Museum on a scavenger hunt and family activity that will be called the Search for Santa Mouse. And the poster art was also created by the SLO Children's Museum. Rachel Lackman is their designer there. So we'll be distributing these holiday books, and you can look for, I believe there'll be 8 different little stations with clues for this scavenger hunt. So it'll be really, really fun and bright and exciting. And we're looking forward to how you all can light up and decorate your windows as well. Usually, or in the past, we have done a holiday window decorating contest. And some of you on the call have been judges in that in the past. We are not doing that traditional judged contest this year. Instead, we're going to have it be a showcase. But we are asking you to sign up. So if you sign up, you need to do so by November 20th so that we can produce our holiday map and get that posted onto our website. We're asking you to decorate your windows and use lots of light this year. And we will have one contest, and that will be the People's Choice. That will run November 28th through December 18th. So once you sign up on the website, we'll give you a holiday decorating showcase sign for your window with a QR code so that people who are walking around can scan that and vote for their favorite. And we're also going to use a Facebook album, to allow people who don't want to visit or are unable to visit in person to participate in that. So we look forward to seeing what you all come up with. Use motion, use light projectors. There's some really cool technology that is quite affordable right now. And if you want to partner with a nonprofit, maybe who had planned to participate in the holiday parade, that might be a nice way to get somebody to come and decorate your window for you. Just putting that out there. And the link to that is in the chat. We will also have the downtown dine out still going during the holiday program. So this picture that you're looking at right now on the screen will look a little bit different, obviously. There's going to be some exciting lights around the holiday pergola as well as Santa's house, but we will still have an opportunity for you to take some takeout and dine out downtown. That continues to be in place from 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. Weather permitting. If it looks like it's going to be a cold, rainy day, we will probably not put that out, but stroll on over. It's a great place to have a little meeting, socially distanced chat outside, and really fun to see the plaza come to life in that way. We are also still offering the SLO Veg Harvest Box pickup. And if you place your order on Sunday, you can pick up your fresh produce on Thursdays from 12 to 7 p.m. And we'd love to see you. And if you want to come pick up your produce box, you can also buy a raffle ticket. Just saying. Order online at sloveg.com. So with that, we are going to go into our weekly polls. This is not as robust as the SLO Chamber business survey that was shared with you earlier, but this is our question for you about how you're feeling today on November 9th about your level of confidence for your business and for the economic well-being of downtown in general. Some of you are voting right now. I know I can see the polls coming in, but you cannot. We did get some interesting, hopeful news this morning. Pfizer announced that they have a vaccine that has 90% efficacy. So that may bode well for some consumer confidence, although of course the rollout of a vaccine and the administration of people taking it and how it will be distributed is unknown at this time. But that was a little bit of ray of hope. So maybe that will shift our group's direction in the optimistic motion, because I know last week we were not very optimistic, but maybe people are feeling better today. We'll just keep this open for about 10 more seconds. If you've gone away and looked at your email, come back and look at your Zoom screen. For those of you watching on Facebook, if you want to join us on Zoom next time, you can vote. And we'll go ahead and end this now so you can see the results and that trend line. People are feeling a little better today. That's good. We still don't have anybody who is very optimistic. So we'll work on that for next week. And hopefully once we get the activations and the lighted windows in the downtown, maybe that'll help spread some cheer. We'll go into the next question at this time. And that is, what is your biggest challenge facing your business today? Are you concerned about the safety of your employees and making sure they don't become sick, especially in light of the fact that the cases are surging this week? Are you having trouble hiring people? Maybe with Cal Poly students leaving, that's a challenge. Are you concerned about the lack of foot traffic? We, a few weeks ago and months ago, were talking about additional economic relief, maybe coming from the federal government. That looked stalled with the election announcements. That may be moving into a different direction. We'll see how that comes through. But by and large, over and over, what we hear from people is uncertain consumer confidence. How are we going to see how people are feeling through the holidays, especially as we move into this time of more and more COVID. So we'll go ahead and end that poll now. And it looks like uncertain consumer confidence continues to be the winner here. I do see that there's some people concerned about a lack of foot traffic and customers. That's interesting and a little bit concerning. Hopefully some of our efforts over the holidays with the Light Up Downtown program will help out with that. It could be also that some wind and cold over the weekend may have made people not want to go outside. So we'll see, and we'll keep our eye on that. But that's why we do these weekly polls, to make sure that we know what is going on out there. So here are this week's results, and thank you for participating. The city of SLO, also wanted to mention this, is asking for information about what your business is planning to do for the holidays. We'll send out a link in our member email, which will go out tomorrow, with the call for participating in this. It's a Google form, and you can sign up and say what kinds of special events your business is doing, if you're doing like a virtual open house or a special sale, or maybe whatever creative ideas you might be coming up with. So we'll make sure to share that with you, and they will be pushing that out through their SLO Bright campaign as well, which will be helpful for driving people and tourists downtown. At this time, we can take any questions. We're at 10:55. This was a very busy, very full report this morning. Thank you all for being here. We continue to have between 20 and 40 people on the call each week. If you have any questions, please feel free to speak up, drop them in the chat, or just unmute yourself at this time. Rachel, do you have any closing thoughts for our group today?
No, other than just have a fantastic week, everybody.
Great. Well, we will see you online. If any live up to the minute updates come out, we will put those in our Downtown SLO Facebook group where we are streaming this now. And check your inbox. We'll share the information about where we're going in the next tier as that becomes available tomorrow. And have a great week, everybody.